I'd like to welcome you to the Hamilton County Board of Election meeting. Today is May the 14th, and it's approximately 8:30. Calling the meeting to order, and would like to start first with the Pledge of Allegiance. Kenny, can you lead us, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd also like to indicate for the record that proper notice has been given as required under the Ohio Revised Code 121.22. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Poland Sherry, for ballot remakes.
Yes, before we go into the ballot remakes.
Madam Chair, just briefly for a moment, before we get into that, if you don't mind, I suspect more people are paying attention to our meeting this morning online, given that we're about to announce the results. I'd just like to take a moment before we get into all that to once again thank our staff of 44 people and the extras, the 30-some extras who work very long hours under very difficult circumstances to get us to the point where we can do this morning, and I think it's appropriate just to acknowledge that. Thank you.
I agree.
I
Thank you for that.
wholeheartedly agree. I know that, many of you all who are watching may not be aware of the hours of the flexibility of everything that the staff has had to do to even get us past April or through April the 28th, and then we had to pick it up again. They had to pick it up again, and we are here where we are today. And when you see the staff, they're still smiling. I know it's hard. They're still smiling, and I know that they're looking forward to this day as well.
Yes, we are.
So I wholeheartedly agree. Caleb, thank you.
Thank you. Before we go into the ballot remakes, in your packet, there is a revised summary staff recommendation report regarding the provisionals. As typical in most elections, once we open the envelopes that you've approved, there are some changes that need to be made to the report. For example, there were, if you recall, 58 envelopes that were returned on or after April 29th that had an illegible postmark or no postmark at all. 11 of those, once we opened the envelopes, were provisional ballots. So they were added to the report in the total number returned by the voter and to the rejected category after deadline. So there was an adjustment there from 70 provisionals received after the deadline to now a total of 81.
Oh, okay.
Can we just move to adopt the entire revised report, or do you think we should do it by category?
I defer to council.
We've already done the category. Can I just move to adopt?
I would do it by categories that have changes.
I think that we should do it by categories as well, because
I don't know that you need to,
it's changing numbers, it's
Fair enough.
making some logistical changes, so we need to be right on
I
it.
don't know that you need to go through every category, only the ones that have changed.
Can you tell us which ones? I don't have my old report here.
There's just 3 categories that have changed. So the one was after deadline, that number went from 70 to 81.
Okay.
When we opened the provisional envelopes, there were an additional 8 that did not receive a ballot or did not contain a ballot inside the envelope. They contained the instructions to voter. So the voter did not return the ballot in 8. So that number changed from 5 to 13.
Okay, so that's the no ballot category.
Correct.
Okay. So that's the second category that changed. What's
To
the,
repeat that again, I'm sorry.
The no ballot category changed from 5 to 13.
Okay.
and then what's the third category that changed?
That number is in the accepted category, the wrong precinct ballot. That number changed from 43 to 51. Again, those ballots are still accepted, and the contest that the voters were eligible to vote on will be counted, and they'll be presented to as part of the remakes this morning.
All right, very good.
So those were the only 3 changes to the report.
So let's do them individually then. I need a motion.
I'll move that we accept the revised recommendation by the board and accept 51 ballots for counting in the wrong precinct ballot category.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Madam Chair, I have another motion on the no ballot category. Am I saying this right?
From 5 to 30.
Thank you, yes. On the number of rejected ballots in the summary staff recommendation for provisionals, I move that we reject 13 ballots now as revised up from the previous number and reject those 13 provisional ballot envelopes for not having a ballot, so.
Second.
Any discussion?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Final motion I have is, again, looking at the summary staff recommendation, the number of ballots to be rejected for coming in after the statutory deadline should now be 81. So I'll move that we reject those 81 ballots and revise our original report.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Ready for ballot remakes?
Yes, Krista Criddle, Operations Administrator, and Jeremy Jamar, Election Specialist, will present the ballot remakes to the board now.
Thank you. So the first category of remakes that we have, it was a 17-year-old voter. As you know, that they're not eligible to vote for issues or central committee, and so we have one of those. That remake is A1134.
I'll move approval of ballot A1134 as remade.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. The next category, we call these a double bubble. That is where a candidate or a voter voted, colored in the box for a candidate, and then also colored in the write-in box and wrote the same candidate's name so that it doesn't count as an overvote. We have to remake those. Those are P40 and P41.
Yeah, we see that more in presidentials, but that's because there's always a write-in line, I think. Anyway, so I'll move approval of those two ballots as remade.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. The next category are ballots that were damaged, whiteout, barcodes, something in the barcode, so forth, that they would not be able to be scanned. These are P42 through P50, P65 through P74, and P90.
Again, all remade by bipartisan teams. Ballot was just damaged to the point it couldn't go through the machine. We remake them exactly as they were and feed them through the machine, just to
That's
summarize,
correct.
right? Okay.
How many in this category?
Let's see, we had P42 through P50, P65 through P74, and then P90. You have to count them.
18 ballots, maybe?
Right.
Does that sound right? Anyway, I'll move, if I haven't already, I'll move approval of those ballots as remade.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. The next category would be remade for stray marks. These were reviewed by the director and deputy director. There's no question on, it's just an extra mark that happened to get into a contest box. Those are P75 through P89.
I'll move approval of ballots P75 through P89 as remade by the team.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
The next category, these are similar to what you had previously at the prior meeting voted on. These are ballots when we opened the provisional envelope, realized that the voter received a ballot that was not their current registration, so a lot of them changed their address on their provisional form. So we had to remake them with what their address is on the provisional form. Those are P51 through P54, P56 through P58, and P60.
Again, these are remade to match the precinct with where they're,
Where they currently reside.
and if there are races that they voted on in their other ballot, those are just ignored, basically, because they
That's
were in the wrong
correct.
place. Got it. All right, I'll move approval of those ballots as remade.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. The last questionable category are these are ones that we call them voter intent, where the voter may have scratched something out, wrote, yes or no on their ballot. Deputy Director and Director both reviewed these. There's no question on their intent. Those are P61 through P64.
All right. Again, the intent was clear and consistent with our stray mark, our policy, right?
That's correct.
Not stray mark policy, our regular policy. I'll move approval of those remakes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. And then for your records, so the ballots that we remade for the precinct mismatch, the wrong precinct that you had prior approval of for us to remake, just so that you have what those provisional numbers or the remake numbers are, those would be P1 through P39, P55, and P59. Those were the ballots that you voted to remake at our prior meeting.
Do we need another motion on those? No,
Just for your information, so you can have that for your records.
Thank you.
thank you for that.
So by my count, then, we've got 45 remakes, roughly. And I'm presuming that everything else has been scanned with the exception of these 45, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Our bipartisan staff will now scan the ballots that you just approved for remake and then tabulate the votes and generate reports, bring the reports out to you to then certify those results. And at the same time that you're certifying the results, we will be uploading the results to the website for public view. This will take a little bit of time for them to go through that. We do have another item on the agenda for discussion before we get to certifying the results.
And that is preparation to reopen to the public?
Yes, the deputy director and I just wanted to update the board, sort of where we are as far as the board being open to the public. Pretty much since mid-March, we've been closed to the public with some exceptions. I did want to point out that our vestibule area has remained open to the public during this entire time, during normal business hours, to accept voter registrations so that voters can continue to register to vote or update their registration if they don't have access to the internet and need to do that in person. That's remained open, as well as to accept absentee applications. And many voters utilize the vestibule area during that extended voting period. So that remains open because we are accepting applications for a special August election in the village of St. Bernard and city of Mount Healthy, as well as we're currently accepting applications for the November 3rd presidential election. They wanted to point out that county administration has retained a consulting firm in order to help county agencies reopen to the public, so we will be utilizing their services. Some other plans that we have, we're currently in the process of getting quotes to put up barriers, shielding around on our countertops that are public facing. We're looking at asking candidates to make an appointment if they need to meet with our campaign finance specialists or file petitions or pick up petition packets. That way we can control the number of people that are in the board at one time to keep our visitors safe and our staff safe. And we're also looking at setting up a schedule to use our public terminals. Many times campaigns like to pre-check their petitions using our public terminals, and we'll be asking for appointments to be made for that as well. Again, so we can limit the number of people and keep everyone safe. Does the board have any questions or recommendations?
I do. Part of that, you guys have done a great job in maintaining a safe milieu, environment, universe, whatever you want to call it. And I want us to be very cautious when we finally reopen, and making sure folks are following the guidelines, period. Because, once you open and once we go through this, there are going to be people, they already are, who will not follow those. And I think there should be some type of action plan developed that if they do not, then they cannot be permitted inside this building. So that's something I think should be discussed and is very, very important. And coming with my healthcare background, I know anytime there's infectious diseases, there's certain precautions, protective gear you have to wear until it is cleared up. And I just think, your staff has done a great job in keeping that level of safety, right at the forefront. And to see something happen because someone was so irresponsible that they didn't think about our staff, I won't tolerate that. And I think that we need to put measures in place so that we protect our staff.
We will continue to work on that plan and submit it, obviously, to the board before we would open fully to the public again.
Okay. Thank you.
At this point, there's nothing more from staff until we have the results finalized. I don't know if the board chooses. I believe you can go into recess until that time.
Thank you. We're now in recess.
Thank you.
Thanks. We are reconvening at this particular point. I'm going to turn it over to Sherry. The scanning has been completed, and the outcomes are posted on our website as well. Am I correct, Sherry?
They are being posted as we speak.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you have we completed the official count. You have the results in front of you. Staff did review each contest, and no contest falls within the recount range to trigger an automatic recount, so there will be no automatic recounts in this election.
Okay,
With that, then, we prepare for certification?
Yes.
I'll move that we certify the March 17th, 2020 primary election results today.
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And next on our agenda, as you've already indicated, recounts are not necessary.
That's correct.
Thank you. And post-election scheduling.
Yes, the board was originally scheduled to meet tomorrow morning to conduct a random draw. That's not necessary now,
Okay.
since there are not, no recounts are necessary. As far as the audit is concerned, the audit procedures have changed. There was new legislation that codified the audit procedures that was passed in January of this year, and we've recently received guidance from the Secretary of State. There is no need to conduct a random draw from the audit during a board meeting. Instead, staff will soon schedule a time and place to conduct the audit, and we will give public notice of that, of when we begin the preparations and conduct the audit, and members of the public would then be able to come and observe the audit. We cannot begin the audit until the sixth day from today. So the earliest we would be able to conduct is Wednesday, May 20th, but we have 21 days from today to complete.
Okay.
So as soon as staff is able to develop a timeline for that, we will notice the board and the public.
Thank you.
So your next meeting, you will not need to meet again until June at your next regularly scheduled board meeting.
So now the notification's been sent up to Columbus, to the Secretary of State, and all of those counties, or in Hamilton County, all of us that have reorganization meetings, we're certified so we can schedule our reorganizational meetings.
There's no need, I'm sorry, that would be separate from the Board of Elections.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
that would be
sure
up to
we
the
can go.
Democratic Party, correct.
Thank
Yes.
you. Any other discussion? We have Kenny here from the Secretary of State's office. Is there anything you'd like to share with us? You'd step to the podium, please.
Well, he's stepping up. What was that date of the next meeting? June
Deb, do you,
9th, thank you.
thank you.
Got it.
Kenny, you may need to speak a little into the
Turn-
microphone so
or
that
maybe
those
turn
live
it-
streaming can hear.
It's probably not turned on.
For some reason, we're unable to hear you with live streaming.
Kenny, you're welcome to use my microphone.
I'm Kenny Henning with Secretary LaRosa's administration. I just wanted to say, Sally said at the last meeting, chocolate gets the team through elections, and this team down here deserves truckloads of it. Thank you all for the hard work you put into it. I know even until last night, until 4 p.m., you were waiting on answers from our team, and they came literally by the time you all wanted to leave. So thank you for the hard work you put into it. I know August special elections are right around the corner, so we're looking for guidance from the legislature for that. And as soon as we know something, we'll be getting you information. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Thank you, Kenny.
Entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Aye. That motion carries. Thank you all. Thank you.
See you all in
Thank you.
June.